I'll tell you, I have never in my life been more shocked and more amazed and just fucking thrilled by seeing some of the female fights, for the fact that these girls come out with something to prove, and they're not shy about taking the shots, and like all fucking business, to the point where if like we get any of the UFC fights, like I want to watch the female undercards. I'm always, and I have twin daughters, so I'm like always trying to get my girls. I'm like, you guys got to watch this. These girls are absolute fucking hammers.
No, you hit the nail on the head. I think this sport has always attracted, I mean, naturally, you only do this sport if you're a certain type of person, right? I mean, there are types within the type, but like it takes a special person to want to sign up for this type of thing. And the women in particular, I feel like we always felt like we had something to prove when we would go out there. And it was that stereotype of like, no, this isn't going to be, I'm not going to be out there, doing this. This isn't oil wrestling. This isn't some sideshow. Like I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do what you expect to see from the guys. So there was always a chip on, I think, every single one of our shoulders when we would go out there. And you could see that in the female fights, especially early on. And man, there were women doing MMA way, way, way before the UFC got on board, and at that point there was, of course, Invicta before the UFC had women. But even before Invicta, Strikeforce had the fight with Chris Cyborg and Gina Carano. But even before that, in Japan, you had women like Megumi Fuji who were like destroying girls. There's this whole wild history of women's MMA that's so fascinating to me. But what I love about MMA, I love many things about MMA, but one of the things I love is what you said earlier, and that is it's the only sport I can think of where men and women are truly presented on the same platform. They fight on the same cards. They fight right after each other, right? And women are main events. That doesn't happen in other sports. You don't have NBA, WNBA, men's tennis, women's tennis. It's not segregated. And I think that has really opened a lot of people's eyes to women as athletes beyond MMA, truly. I mean, I think what Ronda did affected more than just women fighters. It went well beyond that. And I think it has touched other sports and created a lot of opportunities for women in sports in general. So yeah, I'm a big fan of MMA, and I'm a big fan of the UFC for having the foresight. And frankly, I will say this.
Dana didn't want it at the beginning, did he?
But how awesome that he changed his mind. There are so many people who take a stance and they think that, he probably thought he had great reasons. And maybe he did at the time. You know what I mean? Like the fact is women's MMA is years behind men's MMA. It's a younger sport in many ways.
He came out and was like, we don't want this. And I remember, and then like Ronda Rousey came and she was so dominant. And I'll tell you, like the moment that I knew women's MMA was going to explode was like Ronda was so dominant, and I was thinking like, oh, it's just the WNBA thing where you got a few really good players and just a bunch of ducks, and then all of a sudden Holly Holm comes out, who's a boxer, and absolutely fucking lights her up. And at that point, it was like any given day, anytime you come out here, like you can be the best in the world, and you don't have a stand-up game, and all of a sudden now you're just going to get fucking struck and knocked out. And she got like Holly Holm obliterated her. I mean, I don't think she ever came back from it.